This rare 1988 $1 bill brought $4,200. Stick around until the end of the video and I'm going to show you exactly why this note brought so much money and how you can find them out in circulation. In this video, we are going to be going over web notes, what they are, how to find them, how much they're worth, and at the end of the video, we're going to have an extremely rare web note that blew my mind of how much it brought in auction. Let's go ahead and look at a normal issued regular $1 bill from 1988. Now, as you can see, this is a $1 1988A, and before I get into that, I want to say these are the years that you need to be looking for web notes. These web notes were only printed for 3 different years: 1988A, 1993, and 1995. So if you're looking for a web note, these are the dates, the series that you need to be looking for on the bill, which is located at the bottom right hand side of George Washington. So we have a regularly printed intaglio 1988A $1 Federal Reserve note. This bill in the picture is worth normal money. It's worth $1. The question you may be asking is, how do I find these bills? How do I find a web note? Now let me show you the difference. I'm going to pull up a web note right here. And to the untrained eye, someone who doesn't know this yet, I'm going to be teaching you this right here. You need to look for specific areas. So on the front of the bill, there are these things called plate positions. And web notes are essentially a printing process that the Federal Reserve issued, where instead of the sheets of paper money being printed in sheets like normal, they were essentially printed in a giant run. Think of how newspapers are printed in a fashion of one continuous roll. The only problem with this printing process was the printers always broke. There's always problems. There are tons of errors that got out into the circulation because of this printing process. So after a short period of time, the BEP, the government, said, no more. We're not using this printer anymore. That's why they're so rare, because it was a short period of time. Now, in a normal issued, even today, you'll see these notes, they have these things called plate positions. At the bottom right-hand side of the note and the top left area, you'll see it says FW, and then a bigger E, and then a number after it. The FW means Fort Worth. That is where this bill was printed, in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, on a web note, you're going to look in the same area and you're going to see something different. You're going to see a number 1. At the right-hand side, bottom right-hand side of the bill, you'll see a tiny little number 1. And it can be any number, not just number 1, but it has to be only a number. That is the distinction between a web note and a regular issued note. Now, an easier way to distinguish between a web note and a non-web note is the back of the note. Now, the back of the note, you'll see on the regular issued note, the back plate position is at the bottom right-hand side of the 1 in the center. On a web note, the plate position is after "In God We Trust." And that's a super simple way. If you have a big pack of notes, or you went to the store and got some change back, just turn the bills over, flip through the backs, and see if you have any web notes that way. Super simple, super fast. You don't need to be like, okay, what's the date? Just flip through the back, and if you see the plate position on the back right there, bingo, you have a web note. Now you may be asking, okay, I found my first web note. Now how much is it worth? Now, unfortunately, if you're hoping to just make a ton of money off of this thing, that's not likely at all, unless you have an extremely rare variety. Then you'll make a little bit more. But on average, your typical circulated, meaning it has folds, is a little bit dirty, web note is going to be worth anywhere between $4 to about $20. Now, there is always an exception. If you found a bill in circulation that, for whatever reason, has no folds, it's extremely in perfect condition, and it's a web note, the value can increase to about $100, maybe if you're lucky. And also take into consideration this: specific districts, specific print runs. Some of these print runs had less notes being printed, and obviously, if there are less being printed, it's probably going to bring more money in the market. Now, the example that you're looking at right here, the picture, this is an uncirculated web note. And what makes this web note special is the margins and how perfect they are all the way around. Sometimes if the print is shifted too far to one side and the margins don't look equal all the way around, in an uncirculated high-grade note, this can negatively impact the value. So if you find a web note and it's uncirculated and it has perfect margins like this, it's gonna bring more money in the market than one that has poor margins. Now, I also want to bring up the print runs. Here is a list of all WebNote print runs that are known to exist. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this picture is going to show up in the video. If it's a little bit blurry or too small, I am going to leave all this information down in the description below, so make sure you check that out. If you're really into this and you want to find the exact print runs, maybe you want to collect all the print runs and you want to find each and every one, this is a great table to look at in order to find those specific web notes. Also, this shows you how many runs were made. So if there's less runs, it's more likely to bring more value in the marketplace. A web note that has tons of runs, say 14 to 15 runs, 8 to 9 runs, those are going to likely bring less money than a web note run that only had 1 or 2 or 3 runs. So the reason this bill, this 1988 Star Note, that is also a web note, brought so much money is mainly because of a couple different factors. The first factor is how perfectly centered this bill is. The next factor is that it's a Star Note, and the final factor is how few were printed. There are some extremely dedicated and loving collectors of web notes out there. This one, being in such high grade, such a rarity, the likelihood of two collectors going head to head in an auction, bidding this note up, that is exactly what happened in this situation, and this is why this 1988 Star Note, which is also a web note, brought $4,200 in auction. So, thank you guys so much for staying until the end of the video. This is the note that I wanted to show you guys. But before I do that, make sure that if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me out a lot. If you want, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be continuing to post consistent videos of rare money that you can find in circulation, rare notes you can look for that are worth a lot of money. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, please. Hit that like button. Comment below if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything paper money or coin related. Let's do it. So, this is a web note, but this is not only a web note. Remember earlier I was talking about web notes that, how the printer was just so bad and how it was always breaking down and tons of errors. This is an error note. This is a $1 1993 printed fold error. So let me explain what happened here really quickly. Essentially, during the printing process, somehow this paper got folded over and it got printed on the back. So essentially the paper folded over and the overprint came down and struck the paper, and then when it got into circulation, someone unfolded it, and now it looks like this. And not only that, this bill is uncirculated. That means it never went into circulation. As soon as someone saw this, they went to the bank, they pulled money out, they saw this bill, they're like, oh my goodness, and they they held on to it, and now it is uncirculated. This bill brought $3,360 Over $3,000 for this note. That is amazing. Not only is it a web note, but it's an error web note. If you ever find something like this, make sure you hold on to it. Make sure you find someone who knows what they're doing with this stuff. And if you want to sell your paper money, make sure you go to those people and be like, hey, this is what I have, and get it appraised. This is my recommendation. Never go to a local coin shop or like a pawn shop, because these people sometimes they don't know exactly what they have and they'll lowball you. They'll give you an extremely small amount of money. Now, like I was saying earlier in the video, your typical web note is going to be between $4 to about $100 on the high side. Now that you know what to look for in web notes, this tiny little plate position in a different area of the note, you can easily go through hundreds of notes. Go to the bank, go hunting for these things. That's what I think is so cool about this. You can go out there, you can hunt for these things, you can find them. Every time I go to the store and I get change back, I get some dollars back, I'm always looking for web notes just because I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. Web notes are extremely cool collectible paper money that you can find out in circulation in your wallet, in your purse, and all it takes is knowing the small little distinction on the paper money to be able to make a little extra money. I mean, who doesn't want to make a little extra money just in general? Why not, So I hope this video was really helpful. Web notes are extremely cool. They're really rare, but they are out there. It does take a while to find your first one, but when you do, hey, it's cool. You found your first web note. That's awesome. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to stick around, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.